What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're looking at the final look for NFL Week 13. We have a 12-game slate today. So, I was out with the flu yesterday. Wasn't able to make any videos. Was just in bed all day taking some medication. Feel a little bit better today. Actually, a lot better. So, able to make this video. My voice sounds a bit different. Lost my voice a little bit. So, as long as you guys can manage through that, we'll go through these picks. So as always, if you enjoy the videos, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out the links in the description. And let's get started. So, at the quarterback position, you have two guys above 8,000. Both have some decent matchups. Mahomes is always matchup proof, and that Hurts gets a matchup against Tennessee. Last game, he was running all over the field, rushed for over 150 yards. Game before that, he rushed for 86, so well over 220 combined rushing yards the last two games. They're really bad against the pass, and A.J. Brown is going up against his former team, so it could be a nice stack if you wanted to do that. But we know with Jalen Hurts, he's not a quarterback that you have to stack with anybody. 7K range, we have Herbert, who I like the most. I'm not too interested in the other guys. 6K range, you have Burrow. Should be a shootout against KC, and looks like he'll be getting Jamar Chase back this week. He's still listed as questionable, but he's likely to play, so getting his best receiver is perfect for this type of matchup. They're going to need him. 6K range, Watson is back, making his debut. He's going up against his former team, so he also gets a pretty good matchup right out of the gates. Houston is terrible defensively. We'll see. He might be a little bit rusty. I think he still makes sense if you wanted to play him, just because he's unknown, so he makes good chance for good plays for tournaments, stuff like that. Nobody knows what to expect much. I think he'll still play well given the matchup, but we'll see. And then sub 6,000, you have a bunch of guys to look at. You have Trevor Lawrence, who's only $5,900. He's played well the last few games. Gets a great matchup against Detroit, who have one of the worst defenses. So he's firmly in play. You also have Rodgers if you wanted to take stabs at him, but I'd probably like Lawrence more. And then the one guy that I think people will be on this week is Mike White. Played extremely well, almost a perfect game last time against Chicago. Now he gets a great matchup against the worst pass defense in the league against the Vikings. They're on the road, but it's in a dome. He has good receivers. He finally got Elijah Moore involved after being uninvolved the entire season with Zach Wilson. And at this price tag, I like him. He has a great arm, and they have a lot of confidence in him. So doesn't look like Zach Wilson will be getting his job back anytime soon. Running backs, you have McCaffrey and Eckler. I love Eckler more, but both guys are definitely in play. I like these two guys a lot more than Barkley and Nick Chubb, even though he gets a good matchup against Houston, just because those guys can catch the ball a little bit more. We know Chubb can catch a little bit, but they don't mind just having Kareem Hunt run or pass catch a bit, and Watson will run a little bit, so he could take some yards away from Chubb. And then Henry, he's also a great play against the Eagles. They've been getting gashed against the run, so I'm sure that they're going to try to scheme up to stop Henry. Last week we saw what the Bengals did, which was just crowd the box and make life super difficult for Henry. So I would still prefer Eckler out of any of these guys above 8K. 7K range, we'll see about Joe Mixon. He's still questionable. He didn't clear concussion protocol, so he has to do that today. If he doesn't, then P. Ryan will once again become the lead back, and he's 6,000, so he's priced up a little bit more, but he's still a good value, so keep an eye on that news. Also, with Josh Jacobs being questionable, that's a big piece of news as well. Travis Etienne, he's expected to play. Love the matchup for him. Unfortunately got hurt early in the game against Baltimore, but before that he was coming off of a pretty good stretch of games. Not the best one against the Chiefs, but before that, getting a ton of touches. And now a matchup against Detroit, one of the worst run defenses in football. Signed me up for some Etienne there. David Montgomery also at $6,200. Without Herbert, he's getting most of the work at running back and getting some pass catching opportunities. He also gets a great matchup against Green Bay's defense. And then the last guy that you have for a value piece is you have Harris, who looks okay, I guess, against Atlanta. They're not the best against the run. It's just been tricky because sometimes he'll lose some goal line touches to the quarterback. But Isaiah Pacheco, good matchup I'd say with he's taking over the lead back, we have some injuries on the KC backfield, so he should become much more involved. Well, already that he is, with Edwards on IR, and McKinnon was questionable, but he looks like he'll play. But I'm still going with Pacheco as one of the running backs this week. And then the other one I'll put in is, I guess I'll put in Etienne just because he looks like he's going to play and the matchup is so good. But I also don't mind going with Montgomery if you're not convinced on Etienne. Over at wide receivers, no problem with any of the guys that are priced up. But the one that I like in the 7K range that I think that you'll probably have a chance of a monster game is A.J. Brown. He was dealing with an illness last week. He still played, had another fumble, but still gave you an okay game with that touchdown. Now he's going up against the Titans. I'm sure Nick Sirianni and the Eagles will probably game plan to get A.J. Brown involved early and often against his former team. And we know he gives you monster GPP winning ceiling, so I feel like he's going to get peppered with targets this week, and it's a perfect chance to take him at a pretty good price tag at 78. Other wide receiver I like in a value range is Keenan Allen. You also have Amari Cooper, who was getting 12 targets the last few weeks, and that was with Brissett. Now he's going to see how the chemistry is with Watson, but I'm assume it's going to be good, just with Watson having a better arm and them throwing more with Watson. So he looks good. And then 71 for St. Brown also looks very good in a matchup against Jaguars. Also looks like they did activate Jameson Williams, so he's going to make his debut. He should be on a heavy limit, but another guy to maybe take some targets away from St. Brown, but it shouldn't really happen in the first game back because he's going to be on a pretty severe pitch count. But Brown and Keenan Allen, I love those guys. One in the 7K range, one in the 6K range. Allen without Mike Williams in a great matchup against the Raiders. And then another one, if you have Mike White, if you want to pair him with anybody, and $5,300 Wilson. Garth Wilson has played really well in some of these games recently. 3 straight with over 18 fantasy points. But with the first game with Mike White, he got 8 targets, almost 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He seems to, he's had 2 touchdown games this year to account for his total of 4. And the price tag is still very reasonable. It's a great matchup. You could pair Mike White with Elijah Moore if you wanted to go with a more of a value guy. But I feel like Wilson still gives you that perfect combination of upside. Elijah Moore had 2 targets, 2 catches, and a touchdown. So, he also makes sense at 37 if you wanted to go with a value guy. But I got Wilson in right now, going with more of a balanced approach on DraftKings this week. So that's it for the core there. Let's go over to FanDuel. So on FanDuel, everything is pretty much the same that I have for the core plays. Quarterback Mike White, $6,900. Love that price tag for him. They have Watson up to 8K, so I'd rather much get to White instead. Other options in his range that you could look to would be Goff at 68. I'll see where they have Trevor Lawrence here. He's 75, looks okay. And if you're looking to pay up for anybody, I like Herbert. And then you have obviously Mahomes and Hurts as your top 2. Running backs, Etienne is a bit more expensive on FanDuel at $8,000. No, he's kind of similarly priced to McCaffrey even. He's more expensive than Cook and those guys, so I'd rather get to Montgomery for $7K, save $1,000 there, and then also get to Pacheco once again. Both guys right at $7K. I think both guys can get you 20 plus touches easily today and give you some opportunities for touchdowns. Wide receiving, same core that I have from DraftKings. A.J. Brown, 81, going up against the Titans. Still like St. Brown here. And then Keenan Allen against the Raiders without Mike Williams. Got into the end zone last week. Going to continue to get a lot of targets. And the value guy is 6K is Wilson that I like the most. At 66, pair him with Mike White. In a great matchup. Hopefully they can connect for a touchdown. And then Christian Watson continues to be a touchdown monster recently. Still like him on both sides as a value. And that's pretty much it. I didn't touch on tight ends. We'll go back to, I'll just talk about the tight ends that I like on FanDuel. Same thing for DraftKings. Your top 2, if you can make it work, it'll be difficult for me to get to those guys. So, I don't mind going to Hawkinson if I need a bit more of a savings, or Foster Moreau with some of the injuries on the Raiders. Also have even Gerald Everett with Mike Williams being out. Cole Kmet right at 5K. He's been having good chemistry with Fields recently. Conklin, if you want us to continue to stack the Jets. 49 for Tunyon also looks good. And defense-wise, on FanDuel, we have the Bears look good and only 32. Super cheap for them. Other defenses I'm looking at are going to be like the Steelers. They are a bit more expensive at 42, but still makes sense against Mariota, who's been prone to a lot of turnovers recently. And then the Seahawks going up against a super banged-up Rams team. No quarterback there. No Stafford. He's out for the year, basically. They lost both of their wide receivers. So there's going to be a struggle going up against the Seahawks defense. So those are the main ones that I'm looking at. And that's basically it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck. Leave any comments down below, and I will catch you all next time.